And here we are for episode 2 of The Rescue. This is Toby Hadoke, joined by...
Ray Cusick, the designer.
William Russell, who played Ian Chesterton.
And Christopher Barry, who directed Rescue.
I can't go either way.
Now here we have the recap from the previous episode, as was normal in those days and indeed today.
Doctor!
How would that have been done practically, Ray, the spikes coming out?
Just slots in the set with a couple of chaps behind, pushy.
Elbow grease then.
Yes.
They really looked fearsome, I must say.
They would have a monitor behind those so they could see what they were meant to be doing from the front.
Yes.
Come on.
And you're really the action hero of this, William, aren't you? You always get
I was always the action man.
scenes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was always the action man. That's right. That was my second name in this serial.
I suppose this operates the knives. Yes, quite so. And we've got to get this thing back in its...
And you designed the monster, Ray, but who would have... Would the costume department have made it, or would that have been Shawcraft again? Who?
Shawcraft made that, yes.
The executioner sounds disappointed. Never mind about all that. Come on, give me a hand.
Did Jim Sheridan have a fitting for it, or was he just pushed into it?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Maybe lost in the mists of time.
Is he dead? No. It must have been the strain of walking out here made him collapse. How do you feel? This is Barbara, Bennett.
Quillian told me of your arrival.
So, Ray, we noted before about the set being on an angle.
Yes, yes, that was to replicate the model that was broken in parts, and that was to
He doesn't know I'm here.
simulate that.
But of course, but slightly raising it as well, and
Yes,
yet having it strong enough to support people clambering on it as well.
Yes.
Oh, now.
The rescue ship is due to arrive. Why hasn't Vicky told you that? You just sit still, do as he says.
Has he grown his own beard there?
Escape and get back to Earth.
Still go.
Oh,
You're just a child. You know
don't
what you're talking
you
about.
think so?
We get rid of Quillian, we gain nothing. If the plan fails, he kills us.
So this was, we mentioned before, was written by David Whittaker, who everyone's always spoken of very strongly as writer. Do you have any memories of him as a person?
David, yes, I mean, he was very conscientious.
Extremely.
I remember that. He worked very, very hard, and he was always willing to hear what you had to say. I seem to remember, Chris, that we had meetings on Monday when we arrived. Didn't we sit round a table and read the script?
We always had read-through.
Read-through, and then we
Yes.
all had lots of discussions
Yes.
about I can't say this or this
Yes,
isn't...
that always
this is-
did happen.
That happened.
And of course, Verity was presumably there as well as David.
Yes,
And
certainly.
we could all
We could
put
do
in
it.
a-
We could do it quickly.
Yes.
Yes. I think we got through quite a bit doing that.
That was the usual way of doing productions in those days. Absolutely.
Now, the music for this, Christopher, is music that you'd used before.
Yes, it was music that I'd used in the Daleks, the very first Dalek story. I'd commissioned Tristram Carey for that, and I liked the music so much. And again, pressed for saving money, I thought it would work with this story as well, bits of it. And particularly as it wasn't necessarily terribly recognisable music, being what was then called music concrete. And I still go along with that.
It's fantastic and otherworldly.
Yeah, Sidney Newman hated it, I seem to remember. I remember him saying, why did you use Tristram Carey's music?
That very pistol type thing.
Yeah?
We made that. In fact, my assistant designed that. But all these small props, I would keep in my office in case we would need them again in some other story.
Not in case fans came and nicked them, as it probably would happen these days.
Yes.
Apparently, there was it injured Jacqueline Hill's face. The firing of the prop, either in
Yes, there was. I think it wasn't serious, but
Do you remember anything about that, Bill?
I don't.
I don't seem
No.
to either. No, I mean, I don't remember having to stop recording or anything for her to recover or be treated.
That monster wasn't animated enough, was it?
Yeah.
Not really.
It's not going to be animated for much longer.
No, don't!
Ah, that's when I think she probably...
Yeah,
It
that's
backfired,
Yeah, it's a
did it?
flash. Yeah.
It's death throes.
Oh, look, what is it? Come on.
Love that sound.
Yeah, marvellous.
Don't know where it came from. I suspect it came from the radiophonic workshop.
Apparently, it's the sound of a dying Dalek again. Recycling
Was it?
was the
It's
theme
a
here.
recycle.
I mean, how could I? I shouted, you wouldn't listen. Look, all I could see was its jaws. And then when it suddenly started screeching, I thought... killed him!
And an interesting thing that, you know, you have an alien, a supposedly scary alien, that actually turns out to be benevolent, and this is rather tragic for poor old Vicky that she's lost her pet.
Yes.
My dear Barbara.
Oh, Doctor, you're all right.
Oh, I've never felt better in my life.
I'm very aware in these early stories of, because we weren't allowed editing time, of late cues being taken as then. I mean, they've obviously frozen because they'd seen this thing, and then the door
It
opened.
opens, yeah, yeah.
A word or two about inlay shots. We've just seen an example
Yes, that
of
was
one
an
there.
inlay shot, yes.
That had an excuse in Studio D, didn't it? That sort of slow. You didn't have room to sort of. The actors frequently couldn't take you into a scene. The camera went into the scene, and then you followed because you were absolutely pressed against the wall.
Yeah, well, that excuses some of them.
Some of them, yeah.
But I was particularly concerned in the Romans, which with a lot of late cue taking, because there hasn't been editing
That's
time
right.
to cut them out.
Estimating what Coquillian can do. Yes.
So going back to the inlay shot, Ray, what were the practicalities for the uninitiated of setting those up, and how difficult were they?
It was all right before it was. The rescue ship's coming. And...
The inlay
Sorry?
shots, what were the
Oh, yes,
practicalities
well,
of setting up an inlay shot?
It didn't take very long, but there was never any time in the studio for any special optical effects and so on. So whatever was done had to be done very quickly. I think the inlay machine was quite easy.
The juddering of when we had to use a film background for those sort of shots was always apparent. The juddering of the gate on a movie camera compared with the electronic picture. And so it always showed up, but I understand this print that we're viewing now has been remastered, and a lot of that's been got rid of. In fact, I noticed earlier that it is very static now, which is very gratifying.
So you're pleased at the revisionism there?
Yes.
Yes, I was sent a copy of this, and I thought that the remastering was excellent.
This planet should be wiped out.
Yes,
He says Coquillian shouldn't be made to get away with what he's done to us.
I think I agree with Bennett. At least about Coquillian. But don't you think there's just a chance?
How like the Doctor was William Hartnell? William, how like the Doctor was William Hartnell?
He was the Doctor. I mean, for me, he will always be the Doctor. You know, he was the classic Doctor.
Well, because obviously now with television the way it is, we see actors interviewed all the time, and that mystique is almost diluted by the fact that we're exposed to them all the time. There's something about the fact that William Hartnell's, there are very few, audio or visual interviews, if any, with him, so he sort of exists in this bubble as the Doctor.
Oh yes, certainly.
Certainly be
Well, I mean,
remembered.
that was an old actor's thing, really. You didn't want that sort of publicity. You didn't want to reveal all your secrets. Come and see me in the play, my dear boy, they would say. And then you get what you pay for.
Gracious me.
I think he'll be remembered as the Doctor.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
Yes, that's one of
I can't remember his remarks, but I mean, I'm I'm sure he was amazed by what followed.
Yes, that's
Because
one
he
of the-
was deeply serious about it. That's the thing about Bill. He was
Yes.
very, very serious. He was really committed to this. And he was a marvellous screen actor.
Yes.
He really was.
And I would say credit to all of you, actually, that the original TARDIS crew is that everybody you can see is taking it extremely seriously, and that
Oh,
helps to sell.
Yes, I think you have to take it seriously, sort of logically, should we say? And I did that when I designed the Daleks. In fact, I was asked by the current designer, what was my motivation, but and he asked me what I thought of the current design, and I said it was an earthly inspired design, and the Daleks were unearthly. I think
Right.
he'd lost that in his adapted design. You had to think unearthly.
Yes.
Yes, I think that applied in a sense to Bill's performance, because he did often surprise you. His reactions were not quite of this world, and that was all added to his stature in the part, I think.
We know how you feel, Vicky. We felt the same way.
And then you helped to ground us in the reality of it.
Yes, a modern
What was the year when you left Earth?
flavour, shall we say, yes, from the 60s. I mean, I always enjoyed those little bits when you referred back to the time when you were, usually was a sort of 60s thing.
Yes.
Like in the Romans when Barbara says to me, I say, but there's no ice for a drink. And she says, well, look in the fridge, she said. That was marvellous.
Well, this is one of those nice touches here where Vicky, who's from the future, thinks that you from the 60s are very old-fashioned.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
I think sometimes you were talking just now about taking it seriously, that some more recent, and I'm not just talking about the currently recent, but some of the previous life of Doctor Who was spoilt by people not taking it seriously, and I also feel very strongly that the introduction of celebrity actors and actresses spoils the whole feeling of what this used to be all about. It's quite a different programme when that happens. I don't know what other people feel today.
Well, the mystery has deepened because the not celebrity but good solid character actor Ray Barrett has vanished because he was only represented by a tape recorder, which he would have had to pre-record, for which he will have been very pleased that he got an extra fee. And so we see the Doctor doing the investigating after a nice character moment between the three of you before.
As soon as he walked in, I felt that you could trust him. But why does he wear those funny clothes?
Yes, going back to this sort of exposing how it's done. One of the things I noticed coming from the theatre was that nobody in who wasn't actually involved in the production was ever allowed backstage. What happened backstage was a secret, and the public weren't just allowed to wander through, as it were. And then, of course, television exposes all the trickery, which I think spoils it.
Yes, I so agree.
The atmosphere is creeping in now, Christopher, as you've lit it for night time outside now as we reach the conclusion.
I don't remember why that was, unless it was David Whittaker had put it in the script. I don't remember it being my inspiration at all.
Doctor? Doctor!
Which gets to the point, how long was a day on that planet?
Good point. Yes, sometimes writers lose the point of how long a situation lasts. I've been reading a book just recently, published some years ago by an extremely well-known author, where every night it seems to be full moon, and it seems to go on for a long, long time.
Whereas, of course, when you're on the planet Dido, you can create your own rules. So, it's lovely, moodily shot. How would you go about shooting
Well,
things?
that looks quite eerie and so on, but it's mainly that the area is lit very carefully.
Very carefully,
And it's surrounded by black drapes, so it goes off into a sort of nothingness and infinity.
It's wonderful.
And the lighting makes this set, actually.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And
It's very good.
But where did
We must credit Howard King then for the studio lighting.
yes, I was going to say Howard King I worked with later on major plays, and his lighting was superb.
He was one of our top
yes.
lighting
Yes, he
experts.
was.
They weren't called lighting designers then, but they were just called lighting.
I mean, there were several times I worked with Howard, and I've especially thanked him afterwards.
And would somebody like him have just been told, because he was a BBC employee, right, you're doing Doctor Who this week, Z-Cars next week?
You had crews who generally worked together, and as an ensemble you would get the whole crew, and the producers knew which crews they liked for their productions, and they would seek in the early program planning stage to get the crew they wanted. They didn't always succeed, but sometimes it was possible for them, and I'm sure that Verity, possibly not this early but later on in her career, was able to specify who she wanted.
Yes, yes.
Are you finished?
Yes, I had hoped that you would continue.
The unveiling.
Must have been conceived for
I
some...
wonder how many people were surprised by that moment.
To save my life, I killed a crew member.
Now, they're about to have a bit of a bundle, which in a again short rehearsal time, William Hartnell was not the most robust of people. How would this have been quite a challenge for you to stage and get to look convincing, because it works, but
I suppose it must have been. One was obviously aware that Bill was a lot older and that it could be difficult for him, but I think he was just so professional that he handled it, and it all went as swimmingly as we see here.
The whole race.
You destroyed a whole planet to save your own skin. You're insane.
Beautiful.
The girl didn't know I'd been arrested. When we get back to Earth, she'd support my story. I dressed up as Quillian to show her how terrible the people here were.
If that happened, your guilt would have been hidden forever.
so there's some lovely movement from the actors, the way that they're sort of circling around each other on set, and then you've got to follow that with the cameras. Would you have been quite specific the way you worked that out, or would you have been led by their performances?
That is a difficult question to answer at this range. I think it was probably a combination of both. I probably had worked out in advance where I would like them to go, and they, if it suited them, would follow that, and if it didn't, would vary it, and I would follow. But obviously it was all agreed in rehearsal by the time we got here where they would be, so that the cameras would be prepared for covering them.
And here we see the people he failed to kill. Now, one of these extras is called John Stewart and is erroneously listed on the Internet Movie Database as being a very famous actor called John Stewart, who is a film and theatre actor. So I just thought I'd redress the balance there and say that the Internet is wrong. And Tom Sheridan was originally supposed to play one of these, but for some reason, having died as the Sand Monster, he left it at that. Although he does do a voice. He does the voice of the spaceship later on.
coming round?
Oh, Barbara.
So you're about to welcome a new person on board the ship. William, did it change the dynamic, do you feel, with Maureen coming in and Carol going, Carol and Ford going? And...
I don't think so. I think it continued
Bennett was Quillian,
the
you know.
sort of quartet idea. I mean, she was very different. Carol had got that sort of unearthly away from space, as it were.
I want to have a talk with that child.
Atmosphere about her, which Maureen doesn't have that at all. But she's such a clever little actress that she totally convinces you of where she is and of what time she comes from.
Yes.
Now, it's interesting that the story itself has finished and we've still got 3 or 4 minutes to go for character and serious continuity, and we just missed, sorry Raymond, some explosions in the studio.
Yes.
But, would you have been responsible? You were saying there was no...
No, the special effects would have done those, yes. They would have been managed very, very simply because, as I say, there wasn't the time for retakes. One more for luck and that sort of thing.
Travel anywhere and everywhere in that old...
And done as live, essentially, because there weren't inserts
Yes,
or anything.
almost virtually live, really, yes. You get it right first time.
I can promise you an abundance of it.
How does that compare as an actor, William, to something like this, which was more like theatre in terms of the way it was? You must have performed it in terms of the fact that you couldn't stop, you had to keep going. Do you think that... Did you enjoy that more than today's sort of stop-start filming, say?
Well, I'm puzzled by your question. I mean, I think one just acted it as a scene, we weren't thinking that it was a short bit or a long bit or that. We were joining it to the rest of the performance that you hoped you were giving.
But that question addressed to different actors, you'd get quite different responses. Some enjoy the theatrical performance and the joined-up performance so much more than the stop-start of filming. But what is astonishing with nearly every actor I've ever worked with is once you stop-start is that you can stop and fool around and come back in and they're immediately back on top of it, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, before the stop-start, of course, the floor managers used to have a pause button.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's true.
So is that when there'd be a dip in time where they could give someone a cue or a...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Is that a photo caption there for the disappearing TARDIS?
Yes.
Like the prop?
Yes.
So there were survivors on Hadoke. Then it didn't kill them all. They have their planet back to themselves again. And somehow I don't think they would allow that rescue ship to land.
And we've just had a photo going, but we're just about to lead into a model which I guess was your work, Ray. We're going to see the TARDIS on the side of a cliff.
We shall be materializing quite soon.
Yes.
Perhaps
Because
we
as
shall be able to get a rescue.
it was in those days, each adventure led into the next. It was an adventure in
Yes,
time
that's
and
right,
space.
yes.
It's a fantastic model, this.
This is on the edge of the cliff, isn't it? Yes.
Wonderful.
So that even though the adventure had ended, you wanted the viewers to come back next week.
Cliffhangers.
Literally.
Certainly was. There we
And
go.
a rite of passage for every Doctor Who actor.
Slave traders. You've got to turn in for that.
Did you enjoy that? Did that stand up for you? Did you enjoy it after all these years?
Oh, I think so. Yes, very good. I think it was an excellent introduction for her. That's the real
it really was.
purpose of it. It was very good.
Very well thought
Very
out
good,
by
David
David
Whitty.
and Verity, presumably.
And Verity, yeah.
Well, thanks very much for listening to Christopher Barry, William Russell, Ray Cusick, and myself. We'll see you next time.